Welcome back to another Fantasy EFL team selection video where I'm going to be taking you through my Gameweek 6 team. Before we get into that, let's have a look back at how my team was in Gameweek 5. Okay, so in Gameweek 5, it was the first week where I was actually been really happy with my team, and I've ended up with a massive rank rise up to 1,759th. In goal, I went for Arthur Okonkwo, who got the clean sheet in Wrexham's 3-0 win over Shrewsbury, and also made 3 saves, so finished on 9 points. In defence, I had Lloyd Jones and Neo Eccleston. Both of them were involved in a 1-1 draw, so neither kept the clean sheet. Lloyd Jones still managed 6 points against Rotherham after making 10 clearances and 2 tackles. Eccleston was a strange one. I mentioned this in my Gameweek preview video too, so if you haven't seen that, make sure you go and watch that after this. But basically, all the Football Score apps and even the official Fantasy EFL app had the Barrow game finishing 1-0, and Neo Eccleston was keeping the clean sheet, so originally he was on 10 points, but it turned out that Barrow actually conceded in the 98th minute of the game, and so he eventually dropped down to 5 points when the game updated the next day. When I made my team selection video last week, I did have both Dan Crowley and Jody Jones in my team, but when the teams came out and they weren't even in the squad, I needed to obviously change them and bring in 2 new players. In the end, I decided to go with Luke Molyneux and Will Grigg. Unfortunately, neither of them came away with any returns. And some of the other options that I had in mind did actually do very well, but that's just how it goes sometimes. I did show who I'd changed in my team on my Twitter, so if you want live updates, then please go and follow me over on Twitter at the FPL Terrier. Anyway, Molyneux and Grigg ended up on 3 points between them, so that was really disappointing. And then I had in Jack Payne, who I've had faith in a few times and been let down, but this time he got the return I've been looking for. He got an assist and 4 key passes, finishing on 7 points. Honestly, I know I keep saying this, but he is so creative. He definitely has more assist threat than goal threat, but if Colchester could just be a little bit more clinical, he could be on so many more points. Lastly for my players, I had Wrexham's Elliot Lee, and I actually put my captaincy on him when I heard that Crowley and Jones weren't playing. Even with a yellow card, he finished on 12 points, with a goal, 2 interceptions and 2 shots on target. As I had him captain, that means he got 24 points for me, and really helped out my total this week. And then for my teams, I had Wrexham and Notts County. Both of them got the win, clean sheet, and 2+ goals scored, so they finished on 9 points and 18 points between them. That left me on a final points of 72 points, and like I said before, a rank rise up to 1,759. So I'm a lot happier with that, and let's try and get another big green arrow this week. So let's move on to having a look through my Gameweek 6 team selection. In goal, I've gone for Rotherham's Dylan Phillips. Rotherham have started to come into some better form, and I know they've only kept 1 clean sheet so far this season, but they are at home to Burton in Gameweek 6, who haven't scored in their last 2 games. Rotherham have a clean sheet percentage of 43.5, and a win percentage of 60%, and Phillips is only 0.5% owned. I'm sure that will increase before the deadline, but it's still a good differential right now. In defence, I've gone for Luke Ayling of Middlesbrough. With Borough's clean sheet percentage being at 46.5 and their win percentage at 66.7, I couldn't really not look at their defence at least. And for me, Luke Ayling seems the most attacking too, so combining that clean sheet potential with the added potential of an attacking return, I think he could be a really good pick this week. He's at 9.1% selected at the time of recording, so he isn't a differential, but that doesn't matter as long as he gets the points that we want. He's averaging 6.5 points per game, and Borough play at home to Preston, who have won 1 game from 4 so far, and they've conceded 8 goals and only scored 2. Middlesbrough have won 2, drawn 1 and lost 1, so they're definitely a team I want to target for Game Week 6, and for me Luke Ayling is the best option. Next to him, I've stuck with Lloyd Jones for another week. I know he conceded this week, but I still think Charlton's defence looks very solid, and they go away to Shrewsbury this week. He's made 33 clearances so far this season, keeping 3 clean sheets and only conceding 3 goals. Shrewsbury have only won 1 game from 5, and already have a goal difference of -5. For this week, Charlton have a clean sheet percentage of 37.7 and a win percentage of 47.6. I've changed my formation back to 1-2-2-2 this week, and so I only have 2 midfielders. I've decided to just hold Luke Molyneux. He's just too good of an asset not to have, with his 48 points scored so far this season. especially against a struggling Harrogate side. And with this game being played on Thursday night, which might be tonight depending on when I can get this video out, I've decided to vice-captain him. This is the cheeky captain trick I was talking about in my Game Week preview video. So if he doesn't do well, I can just leave it and captain someone else. But if he does do really well, I could transfer in a goalkeeper that definitely wouldn't play and captain him, so that it transfers over to Molineux and get double points for him. And then next to Molineux, I've also kept in Jack Payne of Colchester. I don't see the point of changing for something that's working. And again, it's another away fixture. If I'm honest, this is probably the position that's most likely to change in my team, but they do play away at Morecambe, who still haven't even got a point on the board. They've lost 5 from 5 and they haven't even scored a goal yet. I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but it must be getting close to the worst start ever now. Like I said before, Jack Payne is so creative and has already scored 38 Fantasy EFL points so far. He's only 2.2% selected, so a differential player that if it goes well could really help us improve our rank again. In attack, I've decided to go for Eliza Mayenda of Sunderland at 1.4% ownership. He's got 28 points so far this season, and don't forget the Championship are a week behind, so that's good going for an attacker. He's getting an average of 7 points per game, and seems to be Sunderland's main target man with 2 goals and 2 assists so far this season. Sunderland have scored 10 goals in 4 games, and only conceded 1, which bodes well for Game Week 6 as they play Plymouth, a side who haven't won in the league yet this season. Plymouth have only scored 2 goals and conceded 7, and they lost their most recent game 1-0 at home to Stoke. Sunderland have a projected goals of 1.47 and a win percentage of 54.1, so I'm hoping Mayenda gets involved. Lastly for the players, I've gone for Louis Barry from Stockport. He's scored 3 goals for them so far this season, with 26 points so far in Fantasy EFL. Cal Wootton with his 3 goals and 2 assists is also a good option, but I think it's quite a close call between them this week, and for me I prefer Barry. Louis Barry is only owned by 2.6% of players, so he's still fairly low and he's still classed as a differential. Stockport are still unbeaten in the league so far and play against Crawley, who did start the season well, but they've already lost their form and they lost 3-0 at home to Barnsley in their most recent game. I'm expecting them to continue performing at a low level, and I think Stockport will be too strong for them. Stockport have got a projected goals of 1.45 and a win percentage of 51.3, and so at the minute I've got him captained, but obviously the captaincy could change all depending on how Molineux gets on Thursday night. Finally, before I end the video, I'll just talk about my 2 fixture selections. I've gone for Doncaster and Middlesbrough. Doncaster play away at Harrogate in Game Week 6 and have a projected goals of 1.47, a clean sheet percentage of 38.5 and a win percentage of 54.1. Doncaster now sit top of League 2 with 4 wins from 5, and have still been good away from home, so the away fixture isn't really a worry for me. Harrogate have only won 1 game from 5 and sit in 20th already in the table. They've lost their last 2 games 1-0 to both Barrow and Cheltenham, and I think Doncaster will be too strong for them too. Middlesbrough play at home to Preston. They have a projected goals of 1.76, a clean sheet percentage of 46.5 and a win percentage of 66.7. They play a Preston side with just 1 win from 4 and lost 3-1 away at Oxford in Game Week 4. I do think Middlesbrough will be much too strong for them in this home game, and they're sat just outside the playoffs at the minute and beat Cardiff 2-0 away from home in the last game. A strong team selection for me this week, and the data agrees. So that's it, that's my full team selection for Game Week 6 of Fantasy EFL. Let me know what you think, and if you've got any of the same players as me this week. If you are enjoying the content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.